And we are going to promote you guys to panelists so that you can chat, et cetera. So Tricia, why don't you go ahead and do that, and then I'll give everybody a quick orientation to their screen. Morning, Joe. Morning, Pat. And good morning, Jessica. So you guys, if you have a camera, you're welcome to turn it on. I certainly present better if I can see who I'm talking to. Otherwise, it's like radio. I feel like I'm just broadcasting out and hoping there's millions of people listening, which isn't always true. Okay. So for everybody that's now a panelist, if you can make yourself able to find on the panel, the little control panel for Ring Central, there's a thing on the top called Annotate. There should be a toolbar like View Options possibly. And if you could find the annotation tool and look to see if you can find the drawing pen in the annotation tool and just draw something on the screen for me like I just did. That would be great if everybody could. There we go. Yeah, draw your name so I can see that you got it. There's Pat. We're good. And I can erase something. We got Jess. Everybody found that? Okay. And Joe, are you able to find that tool? And you guys can unmute yourselves too if you want to talk to me. I think you are all able to chat if you have a microphone. That way you can ask questions and stop me and interrupt and point at anything else. Tricia, is everybody able to chat or have a discussion? They all seem to still be muted.
Yes, they can. They just have to unmute themselves.
Okay, got it. Okay.
They have that.
This is Pat. If you can hear me.
I can hear you now. Yeah. Okay.
Great.
And Joe and Jessica, are you able to unmute?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, perfect. Okay. All right. So as we go through here, interaction, and you have questions or anything else, I assume you guys were at TUG and saw kind of a preliminary walkthrough. We're going to go a little bit slower and do some of the same things here today. So what you're looking at on the screen, you're welcome also at any point in time to stop, interrupt, and I think the whole process of this kind of Delta training goes better if you can draw on the screen and circle something and say, what is this, or where'd that go, or why is this here, or what does that do? That would be awesome, and welcome the interactions. So we have here the Titan 7.0 dashboard. I have logged in. Let me get my mouse back. We have logged into the main screen, and by compare and contrast, here's the old one. This is a dev site for one of our other clients, just to give you a sense of where the tree is, where all the control and content management icons are, the action button across the top, and what we had previously considered, I guess, a ribbon-ish, more of a control bar, menu bar, and then in the main section here, the content area, which we're looking at right now, is the dashboard. And over here, we had the module selector option. So going back over to 7.0, we've rearranged stuff. Everything is still there. And all of the functions that you may have used in the past are still available. But the module selector has been changed, just the look and feel. We have a new look and feel across the whole thing, obviously. So the main one is content. That's where we're working right now. We're going to spend the bulk of the day here, working around in the content area. But just clicking off anywhere on and off selects that, obviously. We also have the create and publish are the two most frequently used action buttons when you're on a page. And we have taken off some of the other functions that are not used as often, such as save and decline. Decline is rarely used. Adding a new page. Actually, adding is, we have create is now called, that's adding a new page, and publishing. So these being the two most common things. So that's equivalent of this one, publishing button, and adding a new page. Deleting a page is not frequently used, so that's been just moved. It's still available. Same thing with move and copy and preview are all still available. They're just not in the main menu. The refresh nav function is still there, except it's been moved all the way over here because we don't use that very often either, especially on active sites. If you're in the middle of doing a lot of editing to the nav tree, especially when you're building out a site for the first time, you might be clicking that button more frequently. But as you settle into a normal flow with a content managed site, that is a button that's not clicked very often in order to refresh the cache. So we've taken that out of the main view frame here. This help load manual, infrequently used, but that's still there. It's actually a link to our website that has a lot of technical and user documentation on it about how to use Titan. It's kind of your go-to spot if you have a question and don't feel like calling the help desk right away, and then logging out. So all those functions are still here. We have the help information and then the log out function over here. So same functions, different locations for them. When you first log in, you see the main dashboard. As with the old one, there is a drag and drop functionality. This one's a little bit, I think, a little bit more intuitive. And also we have the timeout set. Oops, sorry. A little low. But the widgets are the same. Just the look and feel has been cleaned up. Easier to read, easier to see what's going on, and the ability to delete a widget and putting it back on. So if I wanted to get rid of pages waiting review, I can do that. It is now in the available widgets to add on to the page. From time to time, we add new widgets, but this tends to be a set of people that use most often. So I can add that widget back onto the page and rearrange them. And you'll find in a lot of places around Titan, we have enabled drag and drop. Not everywhere, and as we go forward with 7.1.7.2, if you get onto the Total Care package, when those updates are available and we add new features, those are things that are just available to you. We also, looking forward, looking down over here, we have, I'm going to skip the search bar for the second. We have the main dashboard you're looking at, and we have the globes as they were before. We have the ability to open and close the tree. What you should notice is that the speed at which this responds is going to be significantly faster, especially if you have a larger website. If you have lots of nodes or you have applied a lot of security to various pages, perhaps on an intranet or a portal, you will find that the tree has been significantly improved in speed. In addition to that, if you are one of the clients who has very long names for pages, and we sometimes have people do that, this is fully draggable now so that you can open and give it more breathing room as you navigate down your tree. Previously, we just had a scroll bar down on the bottom over here. So if you got into a section of the site that was too big, I might be logged out over here too. I'm not sure why I'm not getting a tree. But if we did, then you would see a scroll down on the bottom over here. The file pile has a yellow icon, and that also expands as we go forward over here. And a new look, the icons have changed up on the top over here. So the default look for a file pile, this icon on the top indicates that this is the name of the folder or subfolders inside of the thing. And then we have additional icons indicating that it's a file type or piece of content here. So back up to the main tree. We can expand and close the tree with the plus or minus over here. As we get into any one particular section of the tree, you see the subtree just as you did before. Further down inside of Titan, the different content pages that you would navigate to. Selecting any one page, you can double click on it to edit it. This just indicates the content type. So select and edit this item over here. You can click there and it brings it up and brings it up in the editor. Double clicking is pretty much the universal way of selecting stuff. So as I go back and forth between pages, or I want to get back to, well, let's do this. Let me do this again here. So I'm on the content page and I want to edit the Africa page, double clicking on it. You can also select it here and go up there and click edit. The same thing, it's just that's 1, 2, 3 clicks versus just double clicking on it. If I select more than one page because I want to do a multi-tag and edit, function, then that becomes operative where I would go in and I can copy, move, or in this particular case, work with properties. If I wanted to change the permissions or the tags or the start date or the end date for all these pages at the same time. Because I have multiples selected right now in my results pane over here. So getting back to what I was just looking at, so you can flip back and forth like you could before. Previously in Titan, that was done by flipping back and forth from results to content. So as I would go into a section of the tree, I must have, oh, I probably have logged out. That's why that's not working. Oh, you know what? I don't have the password for this one.
Pat, you're in Dev, so it should be the normal Dev
Yep, you're right.
webmaster password.
Yeah, okay, thank you. There we go. Okay. So I bet you can see the tree better now too. Yeah, there we go. So as I'm selecting a page inside of here, previously I could click on edit. I could also double click. Well, actually I could not double click on a page if I wanted to edit. You had to click on the edit button or select it and then click edit up on the main piece. But if I wanted to multi-select and edit, the same thing happened here. I would go select, and then I could go to properties down over here, and then I could manage the properties, or I could go back to results. But that was less than intuitive for a lot of people to be able to move around. So we're hoping that these buttons being bigger and better labeled up on the top makes it more obvious that this behavior is available inside of Titan to work on more than one piece of content at the same time. So let's just work with one at a time here. When I double click on a page, I can bring it up for editing. And we now move into the blocks and a couple new functions and features. This one's really cool. I'm going to enjoy this a lot, is the collapse all blocks, to be able to see everything that's on the page all at once. So I can open all the blocks and scroll down just as I could before. This control bar stays on the top. And rather than having all these functions previously, which are up on the top over here, kind of merged together with the global functionality. So we had all the add, remove, etc. We've moved that button down to say this is the stuff that works specifically on this page. And so it's contained within this page content area here on the page, hopefully making that more intuitive as to what you're working on. So if I wanted to add a new block, it's going to bring up the block selection menu. These are listed in alphabetical order at the moment. That can be rearranged if you would prefer to have like freeform or something first. That's done in the admin area. That's a very simple edit that you can do on your own. But right now they're in alphabetical order, and I suspect a lot of people just leave it that way. You can also see blocks that you have previously copied. We'll show you that function in a little bit, that these are ones that I've added to the library, so I can use them now down the page, add them anywhere on the page, and or the page shares that are available to grab from other places around the site. If I wanted to insert that content in here, these are all options to be able to insert. If I wanted to edit or manage this library of copied blocks or page shares, I would go to the Edit Blocks library. You'll notice a couple times inside of Titan, and this will be true going forward, this is not a bug, that the very first time you click on a function in the day or during a session, it might take just a little bit longer to come up, but then subsequently, if you click on that same function over there, it should pop up right away. As you see, that was substantially faster. And you're going to see that behavior throughout the day here. There's a little bit of pre-compiling going on in the background. It's not a bug. I wish it was fast all the time, but right now it needs to load itself and put it into cache the first time. And then after a while, in order to be memory efficient and make the maximum use, it clears out stuff that you're not using. And then it just goes through a quick recompile in the background. So just be aware that if that happens on the screen, that's entirely normal. It's not a bug. That's expected behavior. So now I can see these are the personal blocks that I have added to the page, which are page shares or individual freeforms, and the global blocks. You'll see that there's one, we're allowing you to name these things with the same name. I've named a global block Pat2. That means global means anyone can use this block. So it's available to anybody that logs into this instance of the workstation within your website, within your instance. And personal means only I can see these. So I happen to have one. If you're over here and you see adding a block, and you see PAT2 and PAT2. One, actually, if I hover over it, is global, and the other one, if you hover over it, is personal. Hopefully that makes sense to everybody. So adding a block is as simple as finding the spot on the tree where you want to insert, click add a freeform, adds a new freeform block into the page, and then we can begin editing. Since freeform is our most common block, we'll take a second to kind of examine what's new and different inside there. So now we've cleaned up the whole display and say you're really working just on one freeform block at this time. Let's get yourself focused and type in some content, add some bolding, all the same stuff that you know and love as before. Inserting a image has a new content picker available for your use, and we've made a bunch of changes inside the usability of the content picker here in order to hopefully improve the usability and the intuitiveness of selecting content. The first thing we've done is make it take up the entire width of the screen. So in this case, I said I'm selecting an image, so it's only showing me the file pile on the right, and we also start with the tree open. So we're giving you an awful lot of space. If you want more space over here, you can. This one also has a draggable column, and I can go through and I can find images. We have a new image set of views. We have the file name. I can do the thumb view, which brings up, we found that a lot of clients tend to have very long names for their images over here. And so these are, there we go. So again, this is we're just having a first day firing this thing up, time delays, etc. As we go through thumb view, there's also a gallery view, which brings up the images in the library. This will also be, if you have thousands of images, as some of our clients do, you will find that this is significantly faster as we move around. So I'm going to go back over to thumb view, and you're going to see, boom, it just came up instantly because now that's all been cached in the background. Here, this came up instantly. And as we go down, we are only loading the view filled of a view full of the images one at a time. So as I scroll down, you're going to see it now going out and reaching and caching some more of the images as they come in here. And as if there's a robust set of them, it'll actually just grab what it needs over time. This is actually on a dev server. So it is actually running a little bit slower than you're going to see in a live production view. But if I go back over to the thumb view, as I scroll down, we tend to not load all of the images all at once, like we did in the previous thing, which would have caused some delays. And we're loading only as many as we need in order to fill up a view. So as you scroll down, you should see a pretty fast refill, pretty fast refill, pretty fast refill as it goes and gets those from the server. So it's a way to speed up this image view and make the whole thing more responsive as you're moving around inside of here. So there's a nice example of that. And now we're going to go back over to general images, and you're going to see that this loads up significantly faster than it did the first time. So if you're in here working on content, very likely you're going to be working on a bunch of pages and going in and out and making content picks. And so if I'm making a freeform page over here, I can pick what size image I want, add a float left, float right, all the different pre-assigned styles. If I wanted to, I can preview that image, get a sense for what it looks like and the different sizes that are available. I can also go into the editor. That has been enhanced. Actually, it has all the same functionalities before, but it's again a new look and feel. Brings it up where we can crop it, resize it, rotate it. So here's our main image. Make it smaller. I can make it fill up the whole screen. Make it the actual size. It's 100% zoom. I can now, you can actually see that the size that we have over here, if I wanted to resize it, I simply type in the new dimensions. Here, 400, and if I have constrained proportions on, then it proportionally adjusts it. Otherwise, I can turn constrain, let me do a reset here. Yeah, all right, Amy, help. Why can't I unconstrain the proportions? Do you remember?
I don't remember, but I know that editing is something John was tweaking this week. So there might be some code that hasn't been committed yet.
Okay, that's possible. Okay, so we have, this should be able to uncheck that box. And if I wanted to resize it, I could do a proportional.
If you go to the crop, you can unconstrain it, usually.
Yeah, let me do a reset here real quick. Reset, and so I'm going to crop. There we go. Yeah, there. Okay, so unconstrained proportion. So now I can do the cropping function if I wanted to take this image and just crop it down to a section. Nice little color effect over there to show me which part it's going to be cropping. And at that point in time, I can save as in order to save this as a new version of the image, or I can just hit apply and that will save this version and overwrite the one that's there already. I can also hit reset to get myself back to where I was and or go over to rotate if any of these things are wrong. So this interface has been enhanced and upgraded and cleaner. I think the buttons are easier to see versus what we had previously if we were editing at any one of these pages. And I had the same image editor up. So we had previously, I had to open up the tree if I wanted to move back and forth inside of there. If I wanted to select an image, we also were constrained. This box was not resizable. So lots of times you ended up with this big long list of names over here and you couldn't quite see it. So you had to hover over it in order to see what the image name was. And so we're giving you much, much more room on the screen itself. Let's get out of here and cancel. As you can see, as I'm selecting an image or not, clicking on, clicking off to be able to do it. Now I have a lot more room to work with. And the traditional view with just a name allows me to select and sort based on the different sizes over here. And I believe at some point we should have these as resizable columns. And I don't know why that's not enabled yet, et cetera, but if that's not a feature in 7.0, that will be coming in 7.1 so that you can resize those columns also over here if you needed to take a look at the file name sizes. All right, any questions so far? I've been talking a lot and everyone's muted. And so I just assume everybody's just paying deep attention and knows everything else. So I'm moving pretty quick. I'll pause for a second. If you're shy, you can always just send a chat over. But anybody have any questions so far?
Yeah, I missed in the beginning. You said, what did you say about the decline to publish button? Where'd that go? Where'd that functionality go?
Sure. Okay. I think I did not cover that yet. So I'm all done with this page over here. And under the publish button, we now have all of these pull downs available. So the ones that are less frequently used, such as save, is the top. It's the top less frequently used option when people are publishing. Most often when you're working in a page, you're making a quick edit and you're hitting publish, push it live. Making a quick edit, push it live. Of course, we still have all the versioning. That's still all available. But the ability to save means I'm working on this thing, but I'm not quite done. And I don't want it to go live yet, but I want to keep this version ready and I'll work on it again tomorrow when I come in. And so that's what the save function's for. And so over here, rather than clicking publish, you can click on the pull down save. A no workflow save is available to webmasters. It's so that you are bypassing, if there's workflow turned on in your particular instance for any particular page, you can bypass that and have it instantly published, go live. And here's the decline function you're asking about. So if it comes through, are you using workflow at your location?
We are.
Okay.
Yep.
Yep. So then you would have all of the same publishing functions as it worked before. You'd be able to promote through the publishing cycle just by clicking the publishing button. Do you use the save button on a regular basis? Is that something?
I use it, not terribly frequently, but yeah, I do use it.
Okay, so and that follows through with our thinking, which is it's not used as it's an 80-20 rule. And so let's declutter this main bar up on the top with the functions. Yet it's, it's immediately available if somebody needs it without too many extra clicks. Our goal here was to be able to sell more copies of Titan. And one of the way you do that is to present an interface that doesn't look overwhelming and intimidating. And then also to take it easy on users when they're first starting up, where if they're a new user, even if they're power users, having less buttons. And if you have everything you need in order to create a page, publish the page and push it live, people feel successful and then they like Titan. And then as they say, oh boy, I wish I could, they discover that there's a whole bunch of other stuff inside of here that is just 1 inch below the surface that you can get at very, very quickly. for moving around. So we showed how insert, actually I did not insert an image, so let's go back over here. We're gonna go look for a file under general images. And we're gonna select a file that comes up. Let's pick one and let's just float it to the right. And we hit done. The buttons, which previously were down on the bottom, are now moved up to the top consistently on all interfaces, all dialog boxes. And the rightmost button is going to be your default action. And it's going to be highlighted with the other one not being a button and being smaller. So hopefully that consistent interface with all of the different dialogues makes that easier to go. I click done, and now I've got a small little thumbnail inserted on the far right-hand side of my content over here. If I wanted to go and make a link, I can do the same thing with the Titan Link Builder. We're going to see the same content picker come up as before. But in this case, we're going to see the tree displayed along with the images and the data nodes, because we can link to any one of these things, and some additional options across the top for creating different types of links. So we go through the demo site. If I wanted to create a link to from this page to another page on the site, I would come over here. I would click select the option to open a new window, yes or no, and you can see it's been selected down here. That's the URL that's going to be inserted into the content. Click done, and now that is a link based on the style. So it's a red with an underline. That's the style that was edited for this page. And go back in there. If I have that, my cursor anywhere inside there, I can click back in the content editor, and you can see what has been selected previously. And so that is where it is currently linked to. I can go back over here and change it to something else. If I wanted to make a different selection, select here. It's visible down below here as to what is the selected URL, and so on and so forth. Now, if I'm not sure what page I'm looking for, I can always go and issue a search. And so for coffee, which hopefully should give me lots of things. And I can see that some of these are from a site, some are in a file pile, and quite possibly some of them might be in data nodes. I don't see any at the moment. We would have different types of content identified over here, but I can also go and filter and say, I just want to see pages, or I just want to see files, or I just wanted to see data nodes. And if there were any, there actually is one in the events path over here, I would be able to see that I could link over to a data node item. And if there's a display page for that data item, which is a little bit how you have to have that page configured, that would show up. Also, these are features that were available previously. So if I do all types, I can also say, show me anything that's been put in the last week, the most recent content that's been updated, or even more pertinent, if I doubt there's anything in here, but in the past 24 hours, yeah, nothing found, or the past month. So this is a nice way to filter through lots of content, especially if your site has some history to it and you've been around for a while and you've just recently uploaded a new image and you know about what it was named, but you can't remember where you put it. We can find it for you really quick with all of these different filters. And again, being able to switch the view around to look at different types of content. Here, this just shows that these are pages in the site. I can upload if I have the image over here. I wanted to upload and make this link to an image. And I come in here and let's clear out some of these filters. If I wanted to upload a new image, I come in here to the coffee shop and I know that the file is not there right now. I can go to coffee shop and I can upload a new file right here. So click yes, choose from my local hard drive, and that's going to go out to my hard drive and go find an image and bring it up and allow me to upload it into the system. I think all of these are multi-file upload enabled. So if I wanted to
Yes, they are.
more than one image, I can go select like this, and it brings all three of them up. Very clearly up on the top, we have a very large and prominent upload button, or clear it all out, or delete one or the other, and gives you a little size estimate. And then these files would get uploaded into the system when I click the upload button. So I think the main improvements are we have is I think there's going to be, you're going to find some speed improvements, especially on larger sites, the draggable columns, the fact that the trees open right away. The other thing that is kind of cool, and this might be annoying at first, is but if you go over here and you click the upload button and nothing happens, well, it's because you haven't selected a file. I think it would be, maybe in 7.1 we'll have a little message that says you must select a file or a folder first if you click that button. So rather than just nothing happening. But for now, what happened before is that people would go and they could get into all the way into the upload process because it initiated over here in the main navigation. So let's go back. I'm going to cancel. Oh, there it is. Okay. So very similar with the content picker. I'd click upload over here. And then I would add files. And so the very next thing that people would do is they, oh, I want to add a file. And they go and they click a file and it would go out to the picker and it would bring it in. And actually, I even show you what happens here. So this was not a bug, but it also wasn't user friendly. And you give you an error. You do not have permission to upload this file to this location. And they go, what are you talking about? And said, oh, you got to select the folder over here. So people, I don't know that that was particularly intuitive, that that was what was wrong. And having made that error, I think 372 times myself, I think there was a usability problem. And as you can see, the cancel and all those other buttons are down on the bottom, and now those are up on the top. So let me hit cancel over here. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm in the wrong page. There we go. So we were talking about uploading new files. So now if you select a place and I wanted to upload a file, and I have it in here, now the button lights up and now you can upload files. So it kind of makes you make that selection first before you could do anything further. So the sequence, hopefully it's a little bit more obvious, intuitive as to what you have to do next. So let's go and find the location you want to do. Otherwise the button's just not going to be active. Also the download function, if I get into any one of these sections here, oh, I actually, interesting. So I'm trying to build a link to an image. I'm trying to build a link to an image, and I'm over here in the files, and there they are. Okay. Under coffee shop, general images, and you can bring up the image. If I wanted to download that image to my hard drive, I can click it here. That's download this particular file that's been selected, and the download is over here also. I think it's possible that we may remove this button over here and or change that to download the whole folder when it's inside there, because this actually does the exact same thing. So this download file is downloading this file, and it's this button and this button do the exact same thing. So, which is by intention, we just have it in two places. I think in 7.1, we're going to take a look at some of these little nuances of the interface and again, keep enhancing it. So there's nothing wrong here. It's just, it's a redundant button and our goal was to clean it up and get rid of stuff that was unnecessary. And here we have an extra button inside there. All right, any questions on the content picker? I also have the ability to add an external URLs just before. Nothing new here, except we have a lot more space to work with. Seeing which files we've recently worked with, internal pages, external pages, files, and data items in the list. So if you're making frequent links to stuff, that shows up on the frequently used list over here. An email link with email in a subject line, telephone number link, and then an anchor tag. If I had provided or created an anchor on a page, they would then show up in the list over here. So if I wanted to go and add an anchor to a page, you have to insert the anchor tag, which is, Amy, show me where it is again.
You have to create the anchor first before you can link to it.
Yeah, so creating it right over here is. Yeah.
So the link button.
That one right there. Oh, there it is. So I create a link over here and then I give a name. Okay, so here's how you do an anchor tag. One more time. I need trained by the trainer here. Providing a name. So this is my name is bottom, or this is feature number 1. Feature 1, that's the name of my anchor tag. I've created that. I've inserted that anchor. You can see a little anchor on the side over here. So now later on, if I wanted, that was down the page, assuming, and I wanted to link to it from the top of the page, I can go and I want to link to the anchor tag over here, and I can say choose an existing one. There's feature, and I can say click done. And now that link, this word type, when I click on it on the page, is going to jump down to the anchor tag on the page over here. I can do that again if you guys have curiosity, or I don't know if you have any use for that, but does that make sense?
I have a question.
Yep.
Can we still add the photos straight from here, or do we have to add them before we?
No, you should be able to drag and drop. I have not tested that, but I believe that functionality is still available.
Yeah, you can do the drag and drop, or you can click into the photo button.
So it's the same.
Yeah, it's the same where you can
Perfect.
go and then upload right there. And as long as you don't have workflow enabled, you'll be fine.
Perfect.
And so I've taken an image and I've dropped it onto my page. Here, it's uploading it into the freeform editor, dropping it into the default folder. Where does it go, Amy?
It has to be configured in Titan admin in the global parameters. You choose the folder, and I don't know if in this demo site we configured that.
Okay.
But yeah, it can also be configured by user if you set it up that way, so that a user could have things go into a specific folder.
Okay. So I don't know if I uploaded an image that was too big here. My apologies. I'm grabbing stuff randomly off my hard drive. Inside there. I don't know if I can delete that once I've got it going. Yes, I can. Let me see if I can find a smaller image. So yeah, again, this might not be configured at the moment for this demo. But yes, you can drag and drop, and it will load it into a default folder on the site. And if you get a 7.0 upgrade, we'll make sure that that's configured for you. So that works correctly. Any other questions on the content picker or the freeform editor? So we're done. We're just building up a sample page here, kind of making a mess on the page. If I click done, that would save this new piece of content down below here. If I wanted to just take a look to see what was going on, opening up that, there's the first one, so it's the wrong one. Cancel, double click here. There's not the page that I entered. Oh, this is a new one. Yeah, I'm sorry. So a couple things that you notice here is that this little green checkbox indicates that this one has been changed, and also down on the bottom indicating that this one has been changed. So I've been messing around with this previously and not saving it. And so I can open up this block and see what's going on over there. Open up this block, see what's going on over there. So if you wanted to take a peek inside anyone, you get a sense for which one of the blocks, each one they are. So now if you have a large page with lots and lots of blocks on it, the ability to kind of sneak around inside, see what's going on. We also have a toggle block style up on the top. I don't have any styles assigned to these, so I'm going to actually add a style to here. This is the gear icon. And if I wanted to take and apply this to a different zone or apply some other content styles to it, I would click on that functionality. So these are the like the floats. I don't know if you have been using the floats or not. I can drag and drop these. I can drag these over here, and I can also do the old-fashioned double click, etc. When you drag them, you have to drag it into the zone of where you want it on the page. So this over here, so I can say, and this would not make any sense to do, but I can apply these different styles to a page like that. I'm just putting 3 of them on just for fun, and or assign it to which zone inside of the layout you wish to assign that content. So here's the center of the, or the top zone. Clicking done, and now you can see these the styles that have applied to the page or to this block have been, are visible over here. And on the top of the page, you can see which zone this has been applied to. The green check mark indicates that this content has not yet been published, hasn't been saved. And the green check mark over here under the content tab indicates there's some unpublished content in this particular area. So if I navigate away from here, it's going to give me a warning saying, hey, you're going to lose all of this stuff if you navigate away. In some cases, I might want to do this. The default answer is yes, to save the changes, or no, I don't want to save the changes, get rid of them and move away, or cancel and go right back to where I was before. So that's a little different than it was in the previous version of Titan. We now have 3 options. Save the changes, which is the default. We figured the action that would be most likely somebody would want to do. No, throw them away and continue moving to where I was going, where I clicked elsewhere in the tree, or cancel, go right back to where I was before. That behavior is slightly different than the way it worked in this version of Titan, with 3 options rather than just 2. So on this freeform block that we have here, I can also delete it, the one that I just added, and indicates that it's deleted from the center zone, and we have a universal recycle, and so I can bring it back from the dead at any point in time prior to committing it or hitting publish or save. So if I accidentally delete it, that's fine. We made a nice strategic move to be able to take the content and move the delete function, which was way up here on the top, and put it down in the block where it was more intuitive to work with. In some of the versions of we used to have a delete button right inside of here that we thought that was way too dangerous. And so rather than having it all the way up on the top where it's not intuitive, we put it right down where you're working on it. So if you're working on this block, all of the functions that you want to do on this block, edit, copy this into the block library, work on the styles or the zone assignments, and or delete is all self-contained in the block. And if I wanted to rearrange blocks, I can do that by dragging and dropping them up and down and seeing if, let's see if I got them in the right order. Nope, I wanted that new block up on the top, so I can put it all the way up there. Is this in the right order? Yes. All looks good. I wanted to preview this page. I can click, oh, I'm sorry, we're still working in the content area here. And so any questions on blocks? Moving up, down, I can open and close the styles to clean that up a little bit. Or I can navigate away completely and say, don't save any of these changes. No, throw them all away. I'm just kind of making a mess on this page, so let's not break everything. And it puts it right back to where it was.
And Pat, I don't know if you mentioned this, but with the saved blocks in your block library, one of the nice things that 7 has that previous versions didn't is it not only saves your block styling, but it also saves the zone. So that saves you one extra step from having to add the new block to your page and then go in and edit the block zone.
Excellent. And it brings the styles over too, if you have a styles assigned to it?
Yep, the styles and zone assignment.
So that's a nice enhancement in 7.0, frequently asked for when people are copying blocks, to go forward over there. So here we see that we have draggable columns in this particular results pane, looking at the trees. So that's a nice addition in 7.0. Is having these columns be adjustable, especially if you have something with long URL names, which is not uncommon. People end up with really long trees. And as before, you can change this results pane with an edit by creating your own personal views, by creating a new view. So I go over to create, and if I just wanted something and I don't want to see the meta keywords, actually our default view over here, somebody changed it to SEO properties. That was what was showing over here. So now I can create a new view, a content view. Create, that's going to be our most common type, page name. And I can drag these things back and forth. Don't need the URL. I do want to see the start date. And oh, the display order. Yeah, I want to see what order these pages are in. So when I drag them over, I have to get them just on the underneath the main part. So the drag and drop does work. Just have to target where you want it in the list over on the other side. And I want to know if there's a banner image linked on this page. And so we're going to put that underneath there. And I'm going to make this personal, and we're going to call it display and image. And I click done. And there's my new view. If I wanted to make this my default view inside of the system, I could go over and say set default. And then I could go and select which one did I want to have available as my new one. Here's my new default view. Click over there, and every time I come in here, that is what I'm going to see as my default view for every page that I hit. So a lot of people like to leave it on SEO properties. That's a shorter version of it. Here's a longer version of it. Click done, and that's my new default view. And go SEO properties. As I move from page to page, we should see that as coming up as the default view. And there it is. Okay, so we also have with SEO properties, we have the upload and download, a very popular way of managing the SEO on any particular section of the site. So here we have, I'm seeing the tree and this part of the tree forward. If I wanted to filter the results, this filter applies to this section of the tree that's visible over here. And so by clicking on this section of the tree and then wanting to filter down, if I just wanted Australia, I could find all the pages that have started with the word Australia. Sorry, let's type this correctly. And there it goes. It found the pages with the word Australia in it. And then if I wanted to include children, there aren't any further down over here, I could click on the include children. So we're going to go back over to demo site and coffee. We have a little bit more to look at. And if I filter Australia here and I search through the tree, it's going to find that section of the site that it looked at is anything that's available at this level of the menu. So any of these pages, if this events page had something on it or about us or blog, etc. So it's looking what's visible to it from one level down. If I want to include children and expand that search, then you click on include children, and now it goes and it searches that part of the tree forward. In this case, since I happen to be on the one of the root pages, actually going all the way over here, this would be the root page of the site. So if I wanted to search everywhere on the site for the word Australia, the first search might not find anything or just something on the home page, because I think that there's some content with the word Australia in there. And now I say include children, and now it's going to search for the entire site. So hopefully a little bit faster, especially on larger sites, to be able to expand the search or not. And that's different than coming up here, and we're going to talk about the search bar now, to be able to search everywhere on the site immediately. So if I go up on the top and I hit Australia, it's now going to look in the data nodes. It's going to look in the pages. And I should have found those other pages inside there. Well, well, well. Am I doing something wrong? Did I spelling it wrong? AUS.
My only thought is that the page hasn't been published yet.
Oh, that could be. Let's try something. Well, it didn't find it on the other piece. That's possible. Let's try, because we had Africa. Let's try that. There we go. Okay, that could be because Australia does have a search on there. That actually might be. Let's make a note of that, Amy, because I think at some point in time it probably should find unpublished pages too. That would be. We can have a discussion internally if that's by design or whether there's some intent behind that. So you should know the answer to that. So here we have. I've searched for the word Africa, and I can see that I found a couple of things in the file pile and a couple of things on different websites. And I can go and click on one of these things. If I wanted to do that, I can select the image, double click on it, and bring it up for editing. Uploading a new version. I know I'm jumping around a little bit here, but uploading a new version of this file, downloading this file, edit this file, or do whatever. I'm not sure what I was doing. I'm just searching for random things, searching for the word coffee. So if I was searching coffee, because that might be something that's frequently found on the site. Here we go. Since this is a coffee shop site, I can see there's lots and lots of different types of content over here. I can now do that same thing I can do in the content picker, and I can search by different types of content. So I want to see just content pages. from the last 7 days, search. And it brings up the 2 pages that have been touched most recently. And now I can see the filters that have been applied. Search results for coffee filtered on the word, filtered by just the content in the last 7 days. Clicking on any one of these filters removes that filter from the search. I can go back over here and say I want to find files that were searched since the last 7 days. Done. And there's no files that have been named coffee in the last 7 days. Let's get rid of 7 days, come back in and change that to last 60 days, search, and we should find something. Yeah, a bunch of files have been updated recently. Okay. And so selecting all these files allows me to go double click and go in and move to that file in the tree. Okay. All right, any questions so far? We got some new functionality up on the top on the search bar. We have one more thing over here. We have the advanced search functionality. And this is the same old advanced search that we had before, with a massively powerful search and replace functionality that brings up a whole bunch of options to be able to find content anywhere on a page. If you wanted to change all of the H1s to H2s on the site, you can do that here. If you wanted to find every place where the word coffee was listed in a long teaser text, you can do that here. So it tells you where to search for the various content. I know John was working on this. This is a dev version of the site, so I know that they were putzing with something. So I'm not sure if this is not working.
It's possible the code didn't get committed to this environment.
Yeah. Okay. So my apologies here. In fact, we might be done. We might be done. We have to log back in. All right. So anyways, you get to see the advanced search function over here. There it goes. Now it came up. That was weird. So we have the advanced search, and I can search for any particular text. This gives us a little bit more information if I wanted to search, but I could also say, take all the word coffee and replace it with the word Java everywhere on the site. Any place that it shows up in a page name, in a URL, in a meta description, in a short teaser text. Find all of the instances of coffee, replace it with Java. So I'm ready to go. And I click search, and off we go. The search, I got to tell it where to search. I want to search down here in this particular section of the tree. I don't care about any of these properties, any dates before and after, certain part of time, searching inside of certain layouts only. Every one of the criteria that you can set builds a huge conditional search that goes through there. And once I'm all done with search coffee and Java, I click on search. It comes up and it says, all right, here's all the places where I found the word coffee. And it's on this home page. It's in a property called page name. It's in the page URL. Here's on the page name. Here's the coffee A to Z. You can see the name of the page. You can see the site that it's on. And here's what it would be, and here's what it's going to be before, and here's what it's going to be after. I can do one at a time and select these. Yeah, Amy. We should be able to select those and pick those one at a time. Or I can do a replace all functionality over here. And when I hit replace all and commit, all of those changes would be made at the same time to every place on the site. So I know that they're working on the advanced search coming into the last week before TUG. And I do think, yes, it's possible that we don't have some of the code committed over here because it looks like a couple things are not working in this demo. All right, we're gonna come back over here to the site. I went across the top. We worked on a page and I was working on coffee shop. I can see the ability to jump to that page in the tree from the results pane. So that goes, it centers the tree, shows me where it's going and brings that page up. That's nice. I also have the ability to preview this page, open up the live version of that page on the live website, copy this page to another place on the website, or move this page altogether to a different part of the tree, or delete this page. So in any particular case, by selecting a individual page, I now open up and have all of these actions available to me, including the edit function, which is also available with the double click to bring a page up for editing. So double click brings me into the page, onto the content tab on the top. Going back over here takes me right back to where I was on the results pane. And I can see what I was working on before. The next thing we would want to be able to do is for working on the properties of a page. So I've got coffee selected. Previously, all that stuff was over here in the tree on the side. Now these functionality is moved up to the top. So if I want to click on the properties, click on properties, all the same stuff that you had before, with the addition that we're giving you some immediate feedback if you make an error. So if you type inside of here a URL that is not allowed, we're going to catch that, turn the box red, give you everything's going to turn red. We're going to tell you what the problem is and not allow. Actually, you can move forward, but up on the top you can see that the properties has an error, and you will not be able to save or publish this as long as this error condition exists. So it makes it pretty obvious where the problem is, and when you get it cleared up, does a live check to be able to see that it's fixed, takes you back. Other than that, I think pretty much these are all the same. This little picker is, this date picker is browser specific. So we are using the browser controls. I happen to be using Chrome right now. So when you click on this calendar icon over here, we're launching the HTML5 calendar control that is native to your browser. So if you use Firefox or Edge or Safari, you're going to see a different, possibly a different look and feel inside of here. And that's not a bug. That's just the way different browsers render the calendar object. And so I'm picking a date. As I go forward here, I can immediately remove a piece of content from visibility. This takes place immediately on a save. You don't even need to publish. Obviously, publish does the same thing, but immediately you save or publish, that is going to be removed from the display. Old display order to rearrange the navigation tree so that different items appear in different order on your nav if you're using that feature. And then the search engine stuff, we renamed a couple of these items. This section is called sorting now. I think in the old properties tab here, I don't know if we had general properties, search engine information, teaser information text, what's new information, advanced properties. And so what we've added now inside of the new version is, I think, a little bit more intuitive is what these are for. General properties, these are the ones that are going to be used most frequently. And so we've got those arranged to the top. The next most frequent is changing the sort order and then moving on with the search engine information. Since so many people are using our round tripping function to be able to download the SEO view, edit it in Excel, and re-upload it into the system, that those features are less commonly used inside of the workstation unless you're making a quick tweak. Oftentimes when people are working on SEO, they're working on it all at once. And so they come in here, and this might be for tweaks, but they'll take a whole section of the site, download it, and they can look at all the keywords on particular pages and work at them in mass, which I think is a more efficient and more reasonable way to work on the content. But anyways, it's all still available here with the same functionalities before, so you can use the page name or not, page title inside, and the teaser information, which is all available, what's new information, and then advanced properties down in the bottom, non-versioned information, and et cetera. So all the same stuff is here. I think the layout's a little bit cleaner, easier to look at. Those are all the properties for a particular page. You can see which page you're on. Up here we have a breadcrumb going on all the time to show you on the demo site of Coffee Shop. We have a little globe icon to indicate that that is a part of a web page. So you'll see this, breadcrumb will change depending upon if you're in a file or a blog or a data node down here below. We also can work on all the same stuff we had before: workflow, security, history tags, notes, and statistics. That's all still available here. and we have changing over to workflow. Oh, by the way, I didn't make any changes over here. Otherwise, you would have seen a little change icon up on the top. So let's go back in here and make a little change into the properties. I'm going to change the coffee. Let's just change the start date to 4/29. Other 29 days. Yep, etc. So now we see a little green checkbox up on the top. I can still go and work on workflow, which was the icon that I selected next. We found that people, when they are working on, very often they're working on tags. So when you click on more, they're going to select one, and they're going to work on tags on more than one page. And so we have made those this little section of the tree, rather than putting all those buttons across the top, we are putting up one at a time based on the one that you're using most recently. So this is the most recent choice of the item. That was a back and forth. We had a long debates as to, well, should we put all those buttons on the top? And the consensus was too many buttons confuses people. They don't know what it's for. It scares them, especially new users. So we just have more. They're all still available down below over here. And the one that you're working on most frequently, which tends to be people work on tags on a page, works on tags on a page, they're going up and down. And so it's just keeping that kind of clean up on the top was our general philosophy. Here, that tag stuff works the same as it did before, just a different interface. If I wanted to take Africa and add it to the screen, I click over here and adds the tag in. I wanted to add this. These are the two regions where this coffee is going to be sold. Select the values. I can also unselect them, puts them back on the list. So tags has this new interface, moving them back and forth, assigning, unassigning. You can also do multi-tag and edit with multiple pages as before. So any questions on tags or the properties so far? Okay. All right, more. We have, going from the left to the right, workflow, same as it was before, just a new interface. So who's the owner of this document? I can, if I make a bunch of changes to the workflow over here, I can reset all the children from this point in the tree forward to have the security assignments that I'm making right here. I can search, as I did before, for a particular node. I can double click, select it, click, move it over to the page. Multi-step workflow can be enabled to turned on, and you can assign the editors, and the item administrator, the author, editor. Right now we're working on author, making it very obvious as to which one is selected. And so I can choose who the author is going to be and say it's everyone is going to be the author. You can also double click on the items as I just did and assign them back and forth. Unclicking, unchecking removes them from the group. Where it's workflow, security works the same way. Brings up the same picker and chooser to have multi-column selection as you're moving content from one part of the site to the other. Public user, here's all the ones that are assigned currently. Unchecking removes them. In this particular case, the behavior is a little bit different. As I uncheck it, it says this is a proposed change to the security. And so I can toggle this on or off. And so when I hit publish, then these changes are going to get committed. Works behavior is a little bit different than tags. Gives you a clue that you're working in security versus in the tags because the behavior is slightly different, and indicates that there's been a change made to the security. I've removed webmasters from this group, and you can see that's happening now. Again, to reset all the children to whatever the settings are over here, I can reset all the pages underneath coffee to have those new security settings. History shows all the changes made from previous versions. I can select the version here, click on actions, and then I can preview that page. Brings up the preview window to see what that page looked like previously as that page is rendered. Comes up in the display on the display side here. That's versions. I can also restore that version And as before, if I restore version 15, it will put it back as version 20. So it leaves 15 right where it is, but it makes a new copy of that page and promotes it up into the latest version of that page over here. Here you can see version 15 preview. We've added a little indicator on the top to say this preview may contain unpublished changes. So if you have been working on a particular page, this preview is used in the restore function and elsewhere. If you have been working on a page and you click on the preview functionality, you will get this warning saying you're looking at stuff that hasn't been published yet. We're giving you a preview as to what this page will look like once you hit publish. All right, that's the history tab. You see who worked on it, who made the changes, whether it was approved or not, and this is the active version as before. Tags, we talked about security. Notes is legacy. I think 1 or 2 of our clients out of the 600 people that use Titan, I think 1 or 2 of them actually keep notes together where they write little notes to themselves on the page. This is all collected and selected over here. So these are notes about why I've changed this page. And so you write notes to yourself. And if you're going to do this, it would probably be good to go 6/18/20, Pat, and who made the change and what's going on. And so then I hit save. And statistics are the same statistics we had before, just a new display. We have today, yesterday, all the dates before. Still, you're better off. This is just kind of a quick snapshot as to what's going on the page. We highly recommend using Google Analytics, Google Tag Manager to keep track of what's going on. You get far more detail than you're going to get with this particular tool here. But for legacy purposes, it's a kind of a quick hit count as to what's going on the page. All right, Amy, any parts of the cycle that I haven't talked about?
I mean, not really in web content management. There are some changes in Titan admin you could show
Yeah,
with
I'll go over there next.
tree and everything.
Okay. Any questions from our clients today on what you're seeing here? I'll take the silence as either everyone is off getting coffee or there are no questions. So we're going to go over here to admin. And I'm going to save changes. No, everything I've changed, we're going to let it go. You know what else? Amy, I haven't talked about, I didn't go down too deep into the file pile over here. So give me a second. Let's go back over to files. No, let's go back over to content. Files, file pile. I know we looked at it when we were in the content picker, but this is the master view. Same thing we can do over here, actions. Take this, want to take and jump a preview. Whoa, write that one down. Preview not working. Should be able to preview an image inside the system, selecting an action over here. Preview, open up the live version of this on the live website. Let's try that one. Let's open up the live version. No, that's not, something's not hooked up there. Again, we're on an internal dev version of the site, so I'm not sure what they're doing here. But those functionality should be enabled. Should be able to copy and move and delete the function from inside of the selecting an action on an image in the file pile. Same sort of search function that works inside the content, so we have a consistent view and the ability to create all the different views inside of the file pile. Over here under blogs, we're now in the data nodes. These are the custom data schemas that you have put together specific to a site. We have a little blog on coffee, our coffee blog. And I can go inside of here and double click on any particular item, a blog entry. And that brings up the data editor that is specific to this schema for the blog. And I can edit all the information. And this is going to work the same way as before. So if I click on make a change over here, that information is indicated up on the top. The content has changed. I can assign the individual lookups in the side of that blog. Double clicking moves them back and forth. Unclicking selects them here. I have the same article content. This is a nice little change. I think anybody that's working with data nodes is going to find this very enjoyable. The fact that very often people are inside of here. All the other places you can click on the content and you're immediately editing. Click on the content, you're immediately editing. In the old version of Titan, when you were down in a data node, in the troubleshooting, and I'm clicking on edit overside here, if there was a particular piece of freeform content and I clicked on it, nothing would happen. I had to click on the edit button over here. That has now been changed there's no edit button anymore. And so you say, oh, I want to edit this, click. Well, the next thing that happens is the freeform editor comes up immediately. And so you are no longer confused as to why can't I get at this content? What's going on, which is a frequent call to support on our end as to why can't I get in here and edit this thing? I want to edit this. What's going on? Oh, there it is. There's the edit button. And so now we just said, if you click on it, launch the editor. We know what you're trying to do. If you clicked on it, you must be wanting to do the editor. And so the same freeform comes up inside of the data nodes when you're working on freeform content. All the same functions and features that we had before, just with the new look and feel. Related to posts. These are all different lookups, calls to action. So if I wanted to link inside of here, this is a different type in the schema. So I wanted to link this one to other posts. We're going to say, yeah, coffee tasting, that's the one. And so I want to link this text with some title over here. Plus, there we go. So I add this. This is the one that I've selected. So here's the option. It's not quite on the link. I haven't built. This is a data schema type called linked list. And so when I'm browsing over here and I find a related post that I want to tie this off to, so I find here's another data item. I can go and I can type in some text here, select on the open window. When I click done, it's now added, because I didn't fill those things in here, it didn't add it onto the list before. So if I know what that functionality is, I can type it right here. So this is like a shortcut to adding the information. So this is, it's pulling them out of my recent cache of the items that I'm doing. But if I know what the URL is, because let's say I'm working, let's get rid of this preview. If I'm working over here on the demo site and I'm in we're in the blog, I'm in the blog detail. Oh dear, this all works fine. I don't know why it's not, why it's blowing up at the moment here. Oh, I know, because this is a demo site. That's why it blows up. If I knew what the URL was, so let's say up in the top here, I had a URL that I wanted to link to. I just hit Control C to copy that. When I'm in over here, I can type in what I want the link text to be. And then I could paste that URL in here with the correct syntax, and I can hit plus, and now it's going to add it to the list down below. And so now here's all the related posts. So I'm reading this blog, I get down to the bottom, it says, hey, you might also be interested in, and then it's going to say Google Analytics 101 or ASDF or link text here. You might be interested in reading these 3 blogs, and that's going to get listed down in the bottom of the site. And so you can either type them in directly here if you know the information, or I can browse and pick them from someplace else in the tree. I wanted to click on Amy with list of text over here, click done. Now it adds Amy down onto the bottom over here. So 2 different ways to add items into a browse list over here. If I also wanted to get rid of one, click there, removes it. And I can also rearrange them if I wanted Amy to be on top and save them there. So some new functionality and features inside of how this behaves for different parts of data nodes. Data nodes are an ever-growing and popular part of Titan, kind of one of our differentiating features, the ability to build schemas and put all sorts of creative stuff together. So these are all just using, well, I'm not going to go into all the other details of what's inside of a data node, but this is some of the new functionality that's there. And And then when we're all done, we hit publish. And off we go. All right, recycle bin is also makes a collection of all the stuff that has been deleted. I'm navigating away from that data node, so it's telling me I don't want to change. So here's pages that have been deleted, and I can go and click here to restore these pages. Or actually, I can't restore it. I can move it back into the tree where I would like to put it. So if this is under careers right now, I can go and I load up the tree, the picker here, and it's going to allow me to make a selection in the tree as to where I would like to put that page back. So I want to put it back over here under events. This is where it disappeared from. As I make this page, this careers page, actually I want to put it under about us. Let's go over here. Oh, there's already one there, so this is probably not a good idea. And so, but if just in case I wanted to, I'd say about us, I would say skip workflow or complete the workflow immediately, just push it through the whole publishing process, publishing it immediately. All of these things allow you to kind of have a webmaster. These only appear for webmasters to be able to publish this page. Once I click done, it is going to move this out of the recycle bin and put it back into the tree from whence it came. The reason that we don't put it back if we don't retain a memory of where this page came from is because very often when people are deleting pages, they're rearranging trees and other stuff. And so either that location doesn't exist anymore, or like in this particular case, I made a copy of the careers page. And as I'm getting ready to restore this page out of the recycle bin down over here, the reason that this one was deleted is because something really got screwed it up and I really wanted to just start all over again. And so I made a new one, and here's the current page over there. So it'd be kind of a mess if I were to just put this back with all the same names. There very well could be conflicts with naming and other stuff like that. And so our ability to put it back someplace else in the tree and make you a little bit more mindful was a deliberate choice of design. Okay, under Titan admin, we have the admin section of the site here. Clicking on admin brings up all of the options that you had before with some slight rearrangements, obviously a new look and feel. And then when we get into certain sections like the content site, we've cleaned up the tree over here. So as you go in and we see the demo site here on the screen, you'll see that there's a sub-nav that's been enabled here inside of any particular section like content site, the data schema, themes, tags. You're going to find that there's an internal secondary nav here that allows you to work on all the things that are important for demo sites. So what are the general information? What are the tags assigned or active for this site? What security has been activated for this site? What themes are available? What is the active theme that's been assigned to this? It's the Reflex theme. And everything that we can, within that theme, within the Reflex theme that's been assigned to here, which I think is made up on the top. Let me make a theme selection. No, I forget where the theme selection is made. These are the data features of theme, and then within that theme, here, these are the layouts that have been enabled inside of that theme. You can turn them on or off to clean up the display, especially for people that are working with the content and they don't need to see some of the more advanced stuff that you might have there. Which blocks are enabled or disabled from the block picker. In this case, you can go and you can make the editing and configuration changes. This is all advanced features, so people need to get inside of here. And then if there's search segments, if you're using segmented search, what search segments are enabled for this particular content site. You'll see that same sub-nav option available over here under Files, File Piles. You can see for this particular file, there's one called Files, clever name, and we have tags, what tags are enabled, and there's none turned on. So we want to be able to tag coffee and be able to add these different attributes to the files in the file pile, and I click Save. And now if I wanted to add tagging, those features would show up on the content side, enabling for users. Same thing with security. Do I want security to be turned on? Yes, let's turn on security. So that's enabled. So if somebody wanted to assign security to images, they could. That has now been turned on the site. So you see that same behavior, each one over here. If I go to data sites and I pick under the blogs, you'll see the sub nav over here, general, what tags are available for the blogs. We want to be able to tag these by different types of coffee and have security enabled for those. Click save and we're done. So under blogs, we also have the ability, but the only action here is just to delete them. Same thing is going to be true with files. We get inside here, the action would be to delete this file pile altogether. Okay. So I don't know, when I get into the advanced stuff here within themes and layouts, just in introducing how this content is structured here, how the information inside of the workstation is structured. Go over here to any questions on admin. All right, going up to Smart Search. Give me a second and Smart Search will pop up. We have a new layout for the Smart Search. Now we have a draggable column navigation tree. We see our default site. We see a dashboard for the default site. We can see any searches that have been going on over here. Not a whole lot of search activity for our demo site here, but I can see that I could filter by certain dates and times if there was other information. Let's do the last 60 days. Yeah, there's still nothing going on over there. These are the available widgets. I don't think there's any additional ones available for here. And now I can see the keywords that people may have been searching on and the admin section of the site here. This is where we moved the admin for the searching from the Titan admin into the Smart Search module here. So it was a conscious decision to say, let's take it out of the admin section over here. This is, we're working on search. Let's put all the search admin over in the search function where people are working on it. So hopefully that's a little bit more intuitive. And also another reason to kind of get people to come in here and do a little bit more management on the keywords that they're working on. So that's a quick review of Smart Search. As we're kind of running out of time, we have about 5 minutes left. Are there any questions or answers? Any questions? I'll give you answers. Users is pretty much the same interface. We just have a new look and feel. Inside of users, and did the same thing with going to a consistent ribbon across the top. So here's all the names. There's not many people in this particular demo site. And we see the webmaster, but if I selected webmaster, then I could get up to the profile for the webmaster. I could see the account information as to general, this is going to be, profile is going to be general information of their name, and other attributes of just kind of who that person is. The account information up here is going to be all the rules that you have set up for when they can log in or not. And then there more is going to be the security and or the tags assigned to this person. So webmaster, you can see what groups they are in. That's going to be the security. And then tags, less frequently used, but if this webmaster really liked to have dark coffee and you wanted to personalize content on the website, you could make assignments to individual users here, assign them attributes that might be useful for filtering content. All right, well, that was a whirlwind tour with me doing a lot of talking and not drinking enough water. And do we have any questions in our waning minutes here? Turn it back over to you. Otherwise, that's kind of a very in-depth walkthrough of what we covered at TUG in about 15 minutes, 20 minutes. Now we have spent an hour and a half going through kind of from top to bottom, all the things that are new and different. Anything missing that you were looking for from before? All right, well then, given there's no questions and no chats, we will sign off for the day. And certainly if there's anything that you'd like to follow up with afterwards, I appreciate you guys taking the time. Hopefully everybody's still there. And if we can be helpful in any ways or help you in the planning of how to do a Titan upgrade in the near future, we'd be happy to be helpful. So thank you very much for coming today and have a good day.